Alrighty, my name is Cam. I'm a certified dog nutritionist, founder of The Dog Nutritionist, and this is my dog food recipe for large breed dogs. We are going to talk a little bit about nutrition for large breeds, and then we're going to go into making a super healthy homemade meal for them. One that you can do at a more cost-effective price than if you're buying food. If you can source meat that is cheaper than £6-7 per kilogram, even up to 12 or 13 pounds for some dog foods, you'll be making it way cheaper than if you were to buy it pre-made. Let's talk about large breed dog nutrition. There is a huge misconception that large dog breeds are just totally different to smaller dog breeds and need a different balance of nutrients. It's just not true. The studies led to this misinformation is one study on a dog that was fed an insufficient diet and then she had health issues, poor dog. Basically, growing is a more intense physiological process for large breed dogs. What that means is they just need you to get it right. Watch this, and by watching it, you will know enough to feed your large dog safely and in a super healthy way. There is, however, one small difference between large dog breeds and small dog breeds, and that is the time of their gastric emptying. Food spends slightly longer in a large dog's stomach, which means they are able to digest more non-meats. Now, that does depend on the breed. Some dog breeds like Huskies, the more northern territory dogs, aren't able to digest those non-meats as well because during the domestication process, the humans there didn't eat as much non-meats. They were meat eaters because it was frost everywhere. You can't grow non-meats. So in this recipe, we'll be using slightly more non-meats, a bit of squash to bolster the recipe, and also it provides some other functional benefits to the gut as well. Calcium source is necessary in a dog's diet, and it can come from a number of different food ingredients. The one I recommend the most, the raw meaty bone. It is the food that your dog has evolved to digest. They have a 50 million year ancestry of carnivorous bone crunchers, and to stop engaging in that because you are fearful from your own human instincts is not good enough. Periodontal disease is one of the most common dog issues, and it's just because dogs aren't chewing on the right things. They need their raw meaty bones. This is how you do the calcium to phosphorus ratio simply. For every kilogram, they need 1 or 2 small raw meaty bones. That means 1 large or 2 small. In America, that is 1 small raw meaty bone per pound, or 1 large raw meaty bone per 2 pounds. It really is as simple as that. If you don't need to be juggling your dog's diet on an Excel spreadsheet with eyes going numb, trust me, that is totally unnecessary. Recipe is not complete, but I have made complete recipes that you should use to ensure that your dog gets all the nutrients they ever need. They shouldn't get them in every single meal, every single day. So that's why you have different types of recipes. Using different meats, different organs, and then that's a complete diet. It's as simple as that. Variety brings completeness. Step number 1, the meat. We are going to be using chicken today. It's going to make up approximately 60% of the meal. It's a low-fat meat, which means we need to top up the fat quantities. That means we add a tablespoon of oil per kilogram or per 2 pounds. If you're using a type of protein that is 10% fat or chicken thighs, you don't need adding the oil. Right, I'm just going to chop that up really quickly. I have got this ox heart, which is going to make up 20% of the meal. Look at the color of it. It is just nutrient dense, rich muscle meat. If you choose to use liver, a secreting organ, over heart or lung or tripe, you have to use half the amount because liver is just extremely rich. Heart you can actually make up to 20 to 30%. Chop it up all into small chunks, Now we've chopped all that up, what we're going to do is whack it onto the baking tray. It's going to go into our oven, which is warm. Just going to even it out, even spread, and whack it in the oven. Going to take around 15 minutes. You don't want to cook it too much. You just want to cook it just about through the meat. We just want to kill off the bacteria. We still want it juicy and meaty. Next step, we are going to do the squash. This needs to be steamed for about 10 minutes. This can be 20% of the overall meal. I am just estimating. If you want to get the ultimate homemade dog food handbook that I have linked in the description, it has all the recipes exact. If that is your style and you'd rather know the exact quantities, I completely understand. Now, whilst we've got that steaming, we will do the other non-meat. So in the recipe, I believe it is vegetable of choice. Your dog, has a unique digestive system. Sometimes it is just best to include the food that your dog will eat. I want to pick zucchini. I'm going to give it a little wash. Loads of people didn't know that this can be consumed raw. If your dog has a really sensitive stomach, chop them up and steam it with the squash. It will take half the time. Now I'm going to chuck in whatever fruit, it makes up 5% of the recipe. You can use apple. I'm going to do some blackberries, which are really high in manganese. And I'm going to do some blueberries, which are just nature's superfood. Give your berries a wash before they get into the recipe. Chop them, because if they get them whole, sometimes the dog will spit them out because they prefer meat. So this is our non-meats. I'm going to chuck in a few seeds today. I'm going to crush up these seeds with a knife, a small handful, around a tablespoon per kilogram or per 2 pounds. So that is our uncooked non-meat ingredients. Right, we're going to check on the squash, and wouldn't you know it, it's done. Let that sit for a bit. Now it's just a case of mixing all our ingredients together and portioning it out. So I've got my mixing bowl, which oddly resembles a plant pot. We're going to chuck all of this meat into the plant pot with the juices, so there's minimal water loss. Now you might see that there is some. Now we're going to chuck in the non-meat. Yeah, let's do this bit first. Oh my gosh, I forgot such an important part of this recipe. A pinch of salt. Large dogs don't absorb electrolytes as well as smaller dogs. So adding a little pinch of salt, a small pinch per kilogram of food, or per 2 pounds for all you Americaners, is recommended. And I'm going to mix heart and berries, zucchini, easy on the stomach, but a little bit more veg because they're larger dogs and they have longer gastrointestinal tracts. Blackberries, manganese, just great for bone and joint protection and development. I also nearly forgot another important part of this meal, and that is we're using a low-fat meat, so we need to add oil. I like to use extra virgin olive oil, but you can use MCT oil, which is massively popular, medium chain triglyceride. It's just a more easily digestible fat, and coconut oil you can use too. Just 1 tablespoon per kilogram or per 2 pounds of food that you make. So what you'll see is one idyllic large dog breed meal. And you can choose to add some fish to this, maybe sprinkle a little bit of turmeric on there if you'd like. You're going to provide your dog with a calcium source, either in this recipe by using raw bone or some eggshell. We are now going to portion the food into some plastic containers. We're going to wait until the food is cooled before we put it into the plastic, because we don't want heat and plastic together. That's how microplastics seep into the food. Once it's in the container, you can put it in the freezer, and then once defrosted, it will last approximately 5 days. In the fridge, it will last 5 days. This might be the best one yet. It looks great. And if you want to watch more videos, head to my channel, use all the other recipes, use as many as you can, figure out what works best for your dog, get that variety, create that balance, learn more about your dog's own digestion. It is super rewarding watching your dog eat the homemade meals that you make, and it's going to save you money and have a healthier dog. I can't even think of anything negative about it, other than it takes 10 minutes.